Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Sadia Yakubu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. And now the news in details. The Senate has expressed concern over what it describes as inadequate funding of the nation's labor and employment sector. The alarm was raised during the budget defense session before the Senate Committee on Appropriations, where the proposed allocation of about 183.6 billion naira to the Ministry of Labor and Employment and its agencies came under scrutiny. National Assembly correspondent Aniti Patrick reports. Benue State has formally launched a new people-centered public safety program, marking a major shift from the conventional scrutiny approaches to a community-driven model. This is aimed at restoring trust, strengthening collaboration, and enhancing safety across the state.
The historic event brought together government officials, security agencies, civil society organizations, and development partners as the initiative backed by the Benue State government and supported by the Open Society Foundations placed citizens at the heart of security decision making.
Safety and security of our people.
Representing Governor Hyacinth Alia, the Deputy Governor Sam Ode described the initiative as a defining moment in Benue's journey towards peace and stability.
Today we choose to go together hand in hand with our partners, stakeholders and citizens to build a safer and more resilient Benue State. We have learned that true security is not imposed, it is built, sustained, and owned by the people. Our initiative aligns with the Nigerian Police Act of 2020, affirming that effective public safety must be rooted in community participation, respect for human rights, and structured collaboration between citizens and security institutions.
A representative of the Open Society Foundation say the Benue model represents a broader shift in thinking about safety, distinguishing it from traditional security approaches that focused primarily on force.
Not all security models and policies need to come out of the global north, but that we really can start making propositions for what safety looks like, developed and tested and proven in the global south, and we're starting right here in Benue.
Officials say the program has expanded from Goma and Katinala to Agatu, boasting grassroots trust and information sharing.
When we put people at the center of it all, safety can be enhanced. And that is why we are very proud, sir, that Benue State is the first state, that is implementing community policing in the way as is envisaged by the Police Act.
They have migrated us from that mentality of blame game to taking responsibility. And so together, I see that this platform has been set to make sure that safety come back to our doorsteps.
Security leaders in the state, including the Commissioner of Police, pledged continued collaboration, describing the initiative as a practical step towards rebuilding confidence between communities and law enforcement. In Makudi, Felicity Ndere, reporting for Global Television News.
The Senate has expressed concern over what it described as inadequate funding of the nation's labor and employment sector. The alarm was raised during the budget defense session before the Senate Committee on Appropriations, where the proposed allocation of about 183.6 billion naira to the Ministry of Labor and Employment and its agencies came under scrutiny. National Assembly correspondent Aniti Patrick reports.
Chairman of the Senate Committee on Labor, Employment and Productivity, Senator Dinket Plank, said despite the proposed figure, the ministry is grappling with serious funding gaps that are hampering its operations. He noted that critical responsibilities such as factory inspections, enforcement of labor standards, and infrastructure development are being affected, with some agencies lacking sufficient capital project and operational support to function effectively.
Most of the capital project you see here, they are coming from constituency projects. The main ministry and the main agencies do not have sufficient capital projects.
Vice Chairman of the committee, Senator Tahir Mongono, stressed that adequate funding of the labor sector is essential to maintaining industrial harmony, boosting job creation, and driving sustainable economic growth. He warned that neglecting the sector could undermine workforce stability and national productivity.
The adequate funding of the employment, labor, and productivity sector is very important for the attainment of industrial harmony in the country.
Other lawmakers, including Senator Issa Jibrin, representing Kogi East, and Senator Simon Lalong, representing Plateau South, also called for improved financial support, emphasizing the ministry's central role in manpower planning, skills development, and national productivity.
If we are able to provide the necessary infrastructure there, this needs to be able to generate a lot of revenue from federal ministries and various MDAs. We can even make it compulsory.
If we want the nation to move, Federal Ministry of Labor, Employment and Productivity must get a lot of budget for training, for employment, for all the stuff that will keep the nation moving.
Lawmakers say strengthening the labor and empowerment sector through adequate funding will not only enhance regulatory oversight, but also promote decent work standards and support Nigeria's broader economic reform agenda. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has dismissed allegations of result manipulation at the Kuruku Health Center polling unit in Yengoji Ward, Kwali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. Describing the claim as false and misleading, the Commission said the controversy followed reports online alleging that a political party scored 1,219 votes in a polling unit with only 345 registered voters and 213 accredited voters during Saturday's area council election. In a press release issued by INEC, the Commission explained that the discrepancy stemmed from a mistake made by the presiding officer while recording results. The Office of the Head of Service of the Federation has received a certificate of air quality from the Environmental Health Council of Nigeria. Under the Federal Ministry of Environment, because recognition is part of the ongoing greenhouse gas emission initiative under the National Air Quality Program. Ubong Usoro reports.
Officials of the Environmental Health Council of Nigeria conducted emission tests at the Office of the Head of Service Generating Plant before and after introducing a fuel additive known as oxytherm under the National Clean Air Program. Initial readings showed hydrocarbon levels at 500 parts per million. After the additive was introduced, carbon monoxide reduced to 420 parts per million, while hydrocarbons dropped to 220 parts per million. Combustion efficiency also improved. The Registrar of ECON, Yakubu Mohammed Baba, said the result highlights the effectiveness of a proper emission monitoring and mitigation in public institutions.
We need to reduce this emission for the protection of public health. You are quite aware that so many vulnerable groups, more especially women and children, are exposed to a lot of emission as a result of pollution caused by mobile and non-mobile buildings. So we came up with that initiative so that we can be able to reduce the disease burden with the protection to public health.
The director representing the Office of the Head of Service thanked ACON and reaffirmed the office commitment to maintaining high environmental standards.
I've been liaising with one of your contact officers who have been coming around. Unfortunately, the permanent secretary, the head of service, they are involved in the farm sex selection program.
The initiative forms part of Nigeria's broader efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and promote cleaner air. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News, Abuja.
The immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, will today at the Federal High Court in Abuja be put on trial over his alleged complicity in Cybercrimes and Breach of Communications Act. El-Rufai is billed to arraign before Justice Joyce Abdul Malik by the Department of State Service DSS on 3-count charges. At the time of this report, security operatives have taken control of the count due to the large crowd of sympathizers and political followers that have thronged the courts. Meanwhile, the scheduled arraignment of the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, over his alleged unlawful interception of the phone communication of the National Security Advisor, Nuri Bado, suffered a setback on Wednesday. The case could not proceed before the Federal High Court in Abuja, following the failure of the Department of State Services to produce him for trial. While in ICPC's custody, the court gave the DSS a note to dock him on 3-count charge that bordered on alleged threat to national security. Also, the planned arraignment of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai over allegations of unlawful interception of the telephone line of the National Security Advisor Nuri Bado was held today after the Department of State Service failed to produce him in court. The DSS had instituted a 3-count against El-Rufai, accusing him of unlawful interception of phone communications and breach of Nigerian Communication Act 2003. Away from that story, the Kano State Primary Healthcare Management Board has begun preparations for a Ramadan special health inspection across all 44 local government areas to promote hygiene and public health during the holy month. Director General of the board, Professor Salisu Ahmed Ibrahim, stated this while addressing local government health educators and ward environmental health officers at the strategic coordination meeting at the board's headquarters in Kano. Ahmed Ibrahim said the engagement aimed to strengthen coordination and preparedness ahead of the inspection exercise designed to ensure improved sanitation and public health standards through Ramadan across communities in the states. The Edo State government has denied allegations that it directed any of its agencies to attack former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi during his recent visit to the state. The Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Patrick Ebojele, in a statement issued, saying that Ekpebolo's administration would not engage in attacks against law-abiding Nigerians, irrespective of political affiliation, describing the claim as false, malicious, and a distortion of facts. The government said no such directive was issued by Governor Monday Ekpebolo or any organ of the state. A Federal High Court in Abuja will on March 24 rule on a suit seeking to compel the Independent National Electoral Commission to deregister the African Democratic Congress, Accord Party, Zenith Labour Party, and Action Alliance for alleged non-compliance with constitutional requirements. Justice Peter Lifo fixed the date on Tuesday after hearing arguments on a pending motion for gender. The suit was filed by the incorporated trustees of the National Forum of Former Legislators against INEC, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the affected political parties. The Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union has begun advocating for continuity in leadership as the tenure of the Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Colleges of Education approaches its conclusion in March 2026. To sustain the ongoing reforms, the group called on the federal government to appoint a professional within the Colleges of Education system as the next Executive Secretary of the Commission, arguing that such a move would consolidate reforms and strengthen institutional stability. In a statement signed by its president, Dr. Lawal, on Tuesday, the union commended the Minister of Education, Tunji Lausa, for what he described as historic contributions to the sector. Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has directed security agencies to intensify operations and apprehend those responsible for Sunday's deadly attack on Ratatis community in Duroa Babuji, Barikin Ladi local government area, which claimed the lives of at least 10 innocent people. The governor gave the directive on Tuesday in a statement signed by the Commissioner for Information, Joyce Ramnap. These orders came as 9 victims of a terror attack in Duroa Babuji community were laid to rest in mass burial in the community. Bishop of Catholic Diocese of Kaduna, Matthew Ndagoso, has been elected president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria is the highest body of the Catholic Church in Nigeria, coordinating spiritual leadership and social engagement, serving as a moral voice while uniting bishops, clergy, the faithful, and the broader Nigerian society. Ndagoso was elected alongside other executive members at the ongoing 2026 fourth plenary meeting of the Catholic bishops in Abuja. He succeeds Lucas of Wari, whose 4-year tenure expires this February. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has directed State Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board to immediately refund intending pilgrims who could not be registered for the 2026 Hajj as Saudi Arabia's visa deadline approaches. The directive was issued during a strategic stakeholders meeting held at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja, where NACON reaffirmed its commitment to transparency, professionalism, and strict regulatory oversight in the conduct of the 2026 pilgrimage. The meeting was attended by commissioners, board members, executive secretaries, and chairmen of state pilgrim welfare boards, members of the Forum of State Executive Secretaries, the medical mission team, and management staff. You're watching the live broadcast of Midday News. Midday News continues after these weather forecasts, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and thank you for joining us. Let's begin in the northern and central parts of the country, where visibility remains generally poor across many areas, and by Wednesday we expect a further reduction due to increased Saharan dust in the atmosphere. In several locations, visibilities are expected to drop below 5,000 meters. Thick dust haze is expected over parts of Kano, Katsina, some parts of Yobe and Borno states, where conditions may be significantly impaired. Other areas across the northwest and central will experience moderate dust haze. We strongly advise airline operators to obtain the latest e-flight folder and weather updates before any flight operations. And down south, we expect slightly hazy conditions with a mix of cloud patches and sunshine intervals. And as the day progresses, there is a good chance of isolated thunderstorms over the coastal parts of Edo, Delta, some parts of Lagos, Ondo, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, and Rivers State. Please stay updated with the latest forecast and plan your activities accordingly. I remain Joyce Ogunleye, and I'll see you again.
Welcome back from that short break. And in business news, the House of Representatives has intensified efforts to reposition Nigeria's renewable energy sector, charging ministries, departments, and agencies to source at least 50% of their electricity needs from renewable energy. National Assembly correspondent Anyeti Patrick reports.
The House Committee on Renewable Energy convened an investigative hearing to examine the domiciliation of green energy projects, foreign grants and investments received since 2015, and the level of renewable energy utilization across federal MDAs. Declaring the session open, Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, described the exercise as a crucial parliamentary mandate backed by the authority of the National Assembly. Represented by Ibrahim Halims, the Speaker urged stakeholders to see the hearing as a patriotic duty aimed at strengthening institutional integrity and enhancing national development.
The committee was mandated to investigate foreign grants and investment received in the renewable energy sector from 2015 to date, and the utilization of renewable energy in MDAs.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, represented by the Director General of the Voice of Nigeria, Jibrin Ndes, pledged the support of government media platforms in driving public enlightenment on renewable energy adoption. He also clarified that no solar street lights contracts have been awarded by the Voice of Nigeria.
We have a farm, a solar farm, in our desire to transit, because currently, based on the support that we are getting from the President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are reactivating moribund transmitter.
Chairman of the committee, Afam Ogene, said the hearing consolidates 3 separate House mandates, including the probe of foreign grants, green projects, domiciliation, and renewable energy utilization in MDAs. He lamented economic losses linked to poor implementation, citing widespread cases of dysfunctional solar street lights and weak oversight.
But you also let the Honorable Minister know that this committee would like to know what he has done in his own ministry in that regard. And speaking for yourself as head of a parastatal.
Tensions rose, however, over the absence of the Chief Executive Officer of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Aliyu. Lawmakers resolved that if he fails to appear before the committee on Wednesday, 25th February 2026, the Inspector General of Police should compel his appearance. From the National Assembly, Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
And on the foreign scene, United States Congressional Committee reports on Nigeria is a catalyst for border cooperation between both countries. The federal government has said, while admitting that parts of the country continue to face serious security challenges, the government maintained that Nigeria does not have and has never had a state policy of religious persecution. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, in a statement, explained that the violence being confronted by the country's security agencies is not driven by government policy or religious bias, but by complex security threats, including terrorism, organized criminality, and long-standing communal tensions. United Nations Energy Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher says the impact of cuts is adversely impacting relief efforts on a global scale. Fletcher said this while on a visit to a hospital in South Sudan as the country sees a surge in fighting in its eastern Jonglei state, where the UN estimates that at least 280 people have been displaced in the state since December. Uyi Abumfuegbe completes the reports.
Fletcher issued a stark warning denouncing what he referred to as the impact of cuts to aid in war-torn Sudan. The majority of the fighting is concentrated in eastern Jonglei state, where, according to the UN, some 280,000 people have been displaced since December. Doctors say they are overwhelmed with casualties.
You're seeing the impact of cuts, and the generator is not on for very long, and who knows where that funding is really going to come from in the future. And you're seeing the impact of a completely unnecessary war, a war for resources that people here will never themselves see. And they're asking me, is help coming? And I hope it is, but I don't know whether I can give them that reassurance.
The war has largely pitted the two main ethnic groups against one another, the Dinka, who mostly back President Kiir, and the Noa, mostly with Riek Machar, the country's former vice president. Uyi Agmofwegbe, reporting for Global TV News.
And in sport, Atletico Madrid have joined Manchester United and other English Premier League clubs in the race to sign Nigerian-born defender Honest Anaun, with the 18-year-old emerging as one of the most sought-after young centre-backs in Europe ahead of the summer transfer window. According to Spanish outlet, the Spanish capital club have intensified their interest in the Atletico Madrid defender as they look for strengthening their backline. Atletico de Madrid have stepped up their monitoring of Honest, the promising Nigerian defender currently playing for Atlanta. And that's it on Midday News. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now shown on the screen using at Global TV NG. I am Sadia Yakubu saying thank you for watching.